Hey everybody, Josh Tapp here, and I wanted to give you an update on January of 2022 because I know a lot of you have been chomping at the bit to know what we've been doing. I've been getting a ton of feedback from you guys saying, "Josh, what are you doing?" Right? And I had this realization the other day that most people don't even know what we do or how we do it, right? Because we've been so kind of behind the scenes. We don't do a ton of out front blaring marketing. We do a lot of referral based marketing to grow our and networking, as you all know, to be able to grow our show, but also to be able to grow our businesses as a whole. So, as many of you know, though, we did start Podcast Multipliers about 2 years ago, which is just another company under the Lucky Titan brand. But this is the one that has been my baby for quite some time. And the past 2 years has been us refining this process. We took what we learned in the Pantheon, helping hundreds of entrepreneurs learn how to monetize their shows. And we started closing 5, 6, and even our first 7-figure deal through the podcast multiplier method, or the Pantheon method, as we used to call it. We now call it the podcast multiplier method because we've leveraged this system to turn it into really just an incredible way for you to close deals straight from your show. And it's really what I would call just the non-sleazy way, the introvert's way to actually close sales without feeling salesy or pushy or whatnot. Now, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of where this came to be, because a lot of you have been asking me about it, how to get involved in everything. And I just wanted to kind of make it known to the world here. So the podcast multiplier method is basically our methodology that we use. And we've built a whole agency around doing this to basically take people who have very little time. So entrepreneurs who maybe have an hour or two a month to do content, but they need a fully comprehensive strategy. So we take that content, so they record an interview or whatnot, and we take that interview and we then turn it into a blog post, a podcast, and a YouTube video, which we edit it, upload it, do all of the fun stuff there that we need to do. But then we chop that up into micro content and distribute it onto social media platforms. Once it's out on the social media platforms, we've been leveraging social loops campaigns and giveaways and other things to grow the audiences of the podcasts of our clients and our own podcast, obviously, and then leveraging that to get them more reviews, get them on charts, and then get them more people of their ideal clients following them, listening to their show, and in the end, buying from them. So that's the methodology in a nutshell, right? But then what we talk about is how do you turn each hour that you're spending not into just a content session, but into a sales opportunity. Now, a lot of you know this, like we've been leveraging this system for years to close big deals, but we've been doing it through just bringing people into our world and saying, hey, my ideal customer is somebody that I would like to interview. They're a great person. They're a successful entrepreneur. They're legacy based. They really have a message they want to share with the world, but they don't have the vehicle to do it. So I bring them in here on the show so they can promote what they're doing. But as we're talking to them, I'm able to sit down and say, hey, what if we were to take what you said here and we actually turn that into a show? If you only have like an hour or two a month, we can blow it up for you, right? Now, this methodology is something that I would actually recommend to everyone. And here's the reason why. I kind of have to illustrate this with a story because I can already tell that I've got a little bit too into the weeds. But I wanted to give you guys all a rundown of how it all works so that you're not like, wait, what do you do, Josh? Right? That is what we do. We repurpose content. We take your videos and we repurpose it into social media content and into a cohesive content strategy. But just the other day, I was sitting down with one of these companies I just got on the board of, which was somebody who I had on my podcast. We ended up selling them Podcast Multiplier service. And then from that, they ended up saying, Josh, I really want to work with you on a more intimate level. And I got on their board. And this was just the most interesting thing, guys. It kind of helped me understand even more how valuable it is to network with the right people. Now, you all know this. I will preach this day in and day out that you need to have a podcast, whether we ever work together or not. A podcast is the fastest way to get in the door with your ideal customers. Now, I'm not talking your brand new entrepreneurs, right? You could do that as well. But you could literally get a billionaire to sit down with you if you have your own show. So leverage the show. Please leverage the show. I'm going to have a whole episode on specifically how to leverage that as well here in the future. So be on the lookout for that. But I wanted to kind of break this down for you guys because it helped me realize how to get in the door for these extremely high ticket deals. And I'll kind of walk you through the system of what just happened for us. So I have this guy on my show. We hit it off and I'm like, hey, you have really great content. I'd love to actually turn it into a podcast for you. What do you think? He said, great. We talked for 20 minutes. He signed a contract to pay us $5,000 a month to do his show for him. So he had a lot of content. We ended up doing that. But then after the first week, he was like, hey, what if we brought another show to you, right? So he signs another $5,000 a month contract with us. Now, when it comes to those sort of contracts, that's fantastic, right? They're big ticket contracts. That's a great business off of one client, right? But ultimately, my goal is to say, how can I really provide a great service to this person, even if I don't have the best solution for them? And I was talking to him one day, and he's like, Josh, I'm loving the content you guys are doing. This is about a month into our client agency relationship, and he's like, Josh, let me tell you more about what we're actually doing. So these guys are launching this incredible platform, which I will also do an episode about that when it's 100% ready. But it's actually the blockchain sector. Now, a lot of you know I've dabbled in blockchain. We've made quite a bit of money just investing there, but I'm not like one of those people who just goes out and advocates for cryptocurrency or blockchain projects, NFTs or whatever, right? These big terms that people are throwing out there. But what I found was that as I was talking to these guys, they're starting a movement. And it was something that I could truly get behind, because it wasn't just, Josh, here's like an opportunity to make you billions of dollars. I get those at least twice a week right now. People are promising me the world, right? Because they want us to bring our list. They want us to bring you guys to their world. And as you well know, I try to protect you guys. I want to make sure that I'm bringing you only the best stuff that I can 100% get behind. And so what we decided to do was as I was talking to these guys, I was like, you know what? I really think I could help you from a marketing perspective. Now, as many of you know, I've been in marketing for, I think, almost 10 years now, which is pretty crazy. And if you want to count when I was a kid, I mean, extra like 5-10 years, because I've been doing this for years. But as I was sitting there with these guys, I realized I could help them get what they were trying to get by being on their board, by being the guy who coordinated their marketing. And I was like, well, how do you feel about having me just come in and do what I just described to you guys? And they came back to me and were like, Josh, yes, we need somebody to do this. Would you please do this? And that came with a large chunk of money. I'm not able to say exactly how much that was, but a huge percentage of the company as well. And that deal alone is worth millions and millions of dollars to us because of the growth of the company. But that's not where it ended, right? I got on the board. I started to see that these guys were just amazing, just great humans. But now I'm going to switch sides here. So that is a fantastic project, right? But at the same time, I'm still running my podcast over here. And I interview a guy. His name's Matt Kretzman, right? Matt is a fantastic guy. If you guys ever need somebody from a marketing perspective to do like lead generation, Instagram, that kind of stuff, he is a fantastic guy to go work with. Shout out to you, Matt. I'm sure you're listening to this. But guys, make sure you go check him out. But I was talking to Matt, and he just started sending me some amazing people. Kevin Hodis, oh my gosh, what's his name? Nick Nanton, right? Some of these big name guys who I've always thought would be amazing to rub shoulders with. So he sent me connections with them. But then he introduced me to this guy named Terrell Samuels, right? So Terrell Samuels runs Monetize, which is this incredible new platform. Again, I'll launch more episodes on this as we go. I'm trying to keep up with everything, guys. There's just so much moving. But I'm talking to Terrell, and he's sitting here going, Josh, I have this amazing platform to do content. It's basically a software that they have that's, I would say, is going to dominate Spotify, Netflix, all these other things. These guys are seriously like, you're basically getting paid to watch videos, listen to music. It's fantastic. So it's an amazing platform, right? And these guys are about to send out hundreds of millions of invitations through their affiliate network of big name promoters, big name actors, actresses, musicians, whatnot. But they were looking for a $10 million raise. They wanted to raise $10 million for this project. Now, in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, you know what? This other company I partnered with, these guys are always investing in companies. And Terrell's looking for an investor. So I was like, you know what? Let's put them together, right? So I ended up setting up a meeting with them. And then magic just started to happen. Just crazy. These guys were basically coming at them. So the guys in the crypto space were like, how about instead of just getting a raise, what if we were to actually come to you and we say, let's actually tokenize what you're doing, which I'm not going to go deep into that. But basically, instead of raising $10 million, they could raise 10 billion with a B dollars for their company. Crazy, amazing project. Both of them got super psyched. But then here's what happened. I'm talking to the crypto guys, and they're like, Josh, thank you for that deal. It's going to be an amazing deal for all of us. and they're giving me a huge cut of what they're making off of that. And then I talked to Terrell, and he gives me a call up. He's like, dude, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Like, so stoked. Terrell's an amazing guy. But he's like, Josh, let's I want to reward you as well. And I was like, well, hey, I'm already going to be making money from their side. And he says, that's totally fine. So I got it approved for both parties. And Terrell basically said, hey, let's give Josh a percentage as well. So from both sides of the coin, I'm going to be making quite a bit of money off of it. Right. And again, I don't say this to brag, but watch what happened there. Did you see what happened there? We got in the door by gaining the trust of the people that we worked with. That's the moral of the story. Get people onto a podcast that gains their trust. You'll immediately become their friend if you're a good human. If you're not a good human, don't do it. None of us want you here anyways. So if you're a good human, make sure you have a show, invite people onto it. But then the next thing that we did is we didn't just solidify their trust in us, in me as a human. We provided a good service that I knew could yield a result to the guys in the crypto space. We provided that service to them, and that alone got me into all of these different deals, right? That little service, $5,000 a month, right? It's not a ridiculously huge service by any means, but that allowed us to get in the door and for them to say, Josh, I trust your marketing acumen. I need you on my team. So I want to have you guys all think about this as a lesson for how to scale a business. I could just beat this over the head day in and day out, but make sure that you have a platform for people to come in and join your world. Because if you're sitting here struggling, you can't get past that 6-figure mark or that 7-figure mark, it's simply because you're not swimming in the right circles. It's the biggest lesson I've been learning recently is like, I need to up my game. I've got to be figuring out what are the problems that the wealthy people who are amazing people, what problems do they have that I could solve or that I know of people who could solve them, and how do I match them? So I hope that helps all of you today. I hope that inspires you to go out and start a show. So get out there today, start your podcast, and we'll see you at the top.